So we'll go ahead and get started with everyone that is here now. So glad that you are here, and I'm gonna keep an eye on waiting room two. Okay. So, welcome, welcome. My name is Dr. Bianca Busch. I'm an adult child and adolescent psychiatrist, and I am the author of Test Anxiety No More and founder of the Test Anxiety No More e-course. Um, so today I am going to be sharing with you the science behind test anxiety and really what can you do to manage. So drop in the chat if you can. Where are you joining from? I'm curious to know, where are you in the world? Are you in the US? Are you somewhere outside of the US? I'd love to know. It's great to see sort of where people are coming from. Okay, all right, we've got NYC. Excellent. Okay. All right. So yeah, as you're joining, let us know where you are coming from. Would love to hear it. Okay, from San Diego, Pennsylvania. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So, how do you know you're in the right place? You know you're in the right place if you have ever said these things. Maybe you're joining for yourself, maybe you're joining for someone that you know. If you said, I studied really hard, but when I get to the test, I just panic. You're in the right place. If you've ever said, I'm just a terrible test taker, no matter what I do, no matter what I try, I can't seem to overcome. Hi, hello, Robert. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining. If you said that, you just avoid certain things that are going to require a test, whether that's pursuing more education, certain certifications at work, this is the right place for you. So, welcome. I am glad that you're here. Okay. So, let me tell you a little bit about my journey and why I have decided to put all of these materials together. So, I was coming from, I grew up in New Mexico in Albuquerque and had the wonderful opportunity to attend college at the University of Chicago, which is a very different learning environment from what I was used to. And so, what I have here on the left is actually my transcript from undergrad, and it's very hard to see. At that time, we would get our transcript or our grades printed out, and there was less online. But if you can see on the right side there are lots of C's and even a D. And so at that time, getting advising about being a pre-med student, people would say, oh, there's absolutely no way that you will ever be a doctor with those grades, right? They were pretty bad. And so that really is where my test anxiety began because I was having a hard time. As you can see from this transcript, I was not succeeding. Things got a bit better as I went on into my fourth year, but they were pretty rough in the beginning. And so things got better. I did graduate, um, did retake a lot of my sciences, which is another part of my story I tell sometimes. Made it to medical school, was admitted to the University of Colorado School of Medicine, and got there and started to have the same troubles again. So you can see just below my transcript, we have to take an exam, the step one exam, which tests our knowledge from the first 2 years of school. And you can see that, boy, that first time that I took the test, I did not pass. Missed passing by just a few points, but nonetheless, I missed it. And so I had poor test performance, which led to some imposter syndrome. And these tests are high stakes. So all of that together was test anxiety, right? And so it was really hard. So that was really the point when I said, something has to change. I am working way too hard for these outcomes. Now, if you ask people that knew me in medical school, they would say, yeah, Bianca studied, she was involved in a lot of things, but she was a good student. She studied. And so this outcomes were a surprise. So at that moment, I said, okay, I went and got some help from academic services, and they said, you might want to work with a therapist or someone who specializes in anxiety disorders. And so that's what I did. I went and worked with a therapist specifically on test anxiety. And so there's a lot of focus on content when it comes to taking these big standardized exams, right? I want to make sure I know the material. Well, we don't always take the time to think about what's happening up here in terms of our confidence. And that's what she worked with me on. She took me through, cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, and really helped boost my confidence and battle those internal thoughts that were preventing me from really reaching my full potential. So fast forward, you can see the picture on the right, and that is me graduating from Child and Adolescent Psychiatry Fellowship at one of the Harvard programs, the Boston Children's Hospital. So for those of you who aren't very familiar with the journey, right, you do medical school and then a residency, which can be a couple of years, and then a fellowship. So the point is, if you look at that transcript from the U of C versus where I am on the right, it's a big difference. And I feel so proud, but the key for me getting there really was taking care of my test anxiety and then learning about more about myself as a learner. So you might find yourself saying, I know I'm smart. Now I want to show the world, right? And that was my story. I knew I was smart because I had gotten that far, but like how do I show the world that I am smart? And so, thinking about like, what if your anxiety wasn't this difficulty with just going into the test, but you could really harness it and you could really take advantage of it and know more about it. Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's go into your journey, which could start now. All right. So with the right strategies, this can be you going from anxious to confident, right? And that's what we're going to talk about today. That's really what it's all about, is having the right strategies to get from here to there. All right. So just want to give you again a little preview of what you'll walk with today. And if you've just joined us, I'd love to hear where you're from. Just drop it in the chat and let me know where you're joining from. Houston, Texas. Okay, great. Welcome. Okay. So, what you're going to walk with today is you're going to understand why test anxiety happens. We're going to shift our focus, learn how to shift our focus from panic to calm and collected in seconds. And we're going to practice some strategies. And then I'm going to give you a little preview of a roadmap. So we'll do that. All right, let's talk about the science of test anxiety. You might be thinking, why does my brain feel like this during an exam? What exactly is happening, right? And again, saying this, it's not because you're smart, it's because your body is responding to a perceived stressor. And, the crazy thing is that your body doesn't know the difference sometimes between a tiger or a large animal and the test. And so what's happening is your sympathetic nervous system is being activated. That is our fight or flight system, which really gets us ready to battle, gets us ready for attack. And so that's what's happening with your mind. Now, you would say to yourself logically, this is just a test. This is just a test. It's not really an animal attack. But sometimes your body can get confused. And we do have this response. It's a normal response for the appropriate the appropriate stimuli, right? If you are faced with a large cat, a big animal, you want to be able to run. You want to be able to get away. But when it comes time for the test, you just need to sit down and be able to think and be able to take it. So when you have that stress, you just kind of shut down and you're not able to access the information that you need to access, right? So for some people, these are common triggers. Taking timed tests, thinking about past failures. I know that was something that would pop up for me. I think, oh my gosh, I didn't pass this test. Am I going to be able to pass it this time? High expectations. Depending on where you are, you may be really seeking a score that's going to get you to a place that's going to gain you admission to a certain program, or you have to have a certain score that's going to pass. Are any of these things triggers for you guys? Let me know in the chat, or something else that you know, okay, when this happens, my anxiety is going to go through the roof. Anything that comes up, anything that feels familiar for you? Let's see. Past failures for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, so that was one for me. The other things. Okay. And then as we go along. So this is what happened. Anxiety hijacks your brain, right? And what does that mean? Well, we need the front part of our brain, the prefrontal cortex, to be able to do our thinking. That's the center for decision making, executive function. It's like the control center. And when we're stressed and we have too much anxiety, too much stress, it just shuts down. And we can't use it to access the information that we need to access. So really, if we think about that opening slide and things that we often say to ourselves, I'm not a good test taker, maybe that's not true. Maybe it's not that you're not good at tests, but it's just that your brain has gotten overwhelmed. Juliet thinks time tests are triggers for you. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That can be a lot of pressure. Are you going to have enough time to finish all of the questions that you need to finish? So here are some other symptoms of test anxiety. You can also let me know in the chat if these impact you. Robert, yes, the need and pressure to be right definitely can it be a trigger. So this anxiety, I like to highlight this because some people, they know what maybe panic or general anxiety feels like, but they may not recognize what's happening to them before or during the test. So for some people, they're going to have a racing heartbeat. Your heart's going to be going faster than normal. You might have some sweating on your palms or your pits even. Some people feel really nauseous or have to go to the bathroom a lot before or during the test, right? And that's sort of the nervous system just running amok. For your mind, you might have your mind going blank, difficulty concentrating, right? You can't get that information. You studied. You know it's in there, but I can't remember, right? That can be a symptom. Feeling panicked, overwhelmed, even feeling hopeless, right? So if any of these sound familiar, let me know. I definitely can sometimes, in the past and have to fight it even still, right? This isn't something that just automatically goes away, but it's something that you can work towards managing. I will still have racing heart, the sweaty hands, and I think, oh my gosh, this anxiety is back. I better use some of the skills that I know to work on it. So we'll look at a side-by-side comparison of a calm brain to the anxious brain, right? Calm brain, we're in there, we're relaxed. This might be you when you're studying. This might be you when you're working with a study partner. You can think clearly, you're able to put forth your best effort. But when that anxiety brain happens, thoughts are gone. And that can lead to frustration. It can lead to fear. It can lead to feeling really sad. But the exciting thing is that we can change this response. And that's why we're here tonight, is to learn about how do we change that response so that something different can happen. So, understanding your body's response and sort of identifying what's happening is really one of the first things that we need to do to be able to take control. So I've talked about the physical symptoms, the cognitive symptoms, and we're going to break them down into those two categories so that we can use tools to help turn those symptoms around, whether it's happening cognitively or physically. So, how do you stay focused? How do you stay calm on test day? What if test day felt like another study session? Felt like when you're at home in your PJs, as I call them, with your socks on, your coffee or your cup of tea, and it didn't feel like this panic, right? That would be great. You would feel like you'd studied, you know the material, and you're going into this test confidently. Well, we can do that. How do we do that? What we want to do is activate the opposite of our fight and flight response, which is our rest and relax response. And we do that by activating the parasympathetic nervous system, right? So I've got this fancy picture here, but just wanted to show you what these two different nervous systems are responsible for and why we observe different outcomes. And so I'm going to tell you at the end about a course that I've created that really has a plethora of techniques to activate the parasympathetic system: grounding, breathing, cognitive reframing, progressive muscle relaxation. And all of those things are effective at really getting the parasympathetic system going. Today, we're going to practice the power of visualization. So I'm going to take you through two visualizations. One for when you're studying, and then the second one for test day. So everyone has their cameras off already. Usually when I'm working with a patient or client, I say, get comfortable, turn off your camera, lay down if you need to, and we will go through this visualization. So take a second to do that now. Get comfortable wherever you are. Maybe you're sitting down. Wherever you are, just get comfortable, and I am going to take us through this visualization. Let me just bring it up here. Is there anything, as we're sort of getting set up, feel free to put in the chat if there's anything that has been new information to you, things that were surprising in any way. I would love to hear it. Okay. All right, so now that we're sitting, we're calm, let's go ahead and go through our study time visualization. So I want you to take a deep breath in and slowly exhale. Let your shoulders relax. Feel yourself settling in into your chair, or if you're lying on the bed, you're calm and present. Now imagine you're sitting down to study. You're in a comfortable, quiet place. Your materials are in front of you, and you're ready to focus. As you open your notebook or your laptop, you feel a sense of clarity. You're not overwhelmed, you're in control. Picture yourself reading through the material effortlessly. The words and concepts are making sense, sticking in your mind. You highlight key ideas. You take notes with ease and truly absorb the information. Everything is clicking. Now imagine yourself recalling this information later with ease. Picture yourself confidently explaining what you've learned to someone else. It feels natural. You know the material, and you trust that it's going to stay with you. Take another slow breath in and exhale. You are calm, focused, and capable. Studying feels productive and manageable. When you show up for your next study session, your brain will recognize this feeling and make it easier to focus. slowly open your eyes, and whenever you're ready. So let me know how that felt. I'm open to any experience for my patients. That some people, this is helpful to go through these exercises. For some, it feels uncomfortable, but the need and pressure to be okay. Yeah. So that is our one for studying. I also have one for our test day. So let's just go right into it. You're going to have access to this webinar. So if you want to go back and use one of these, you can. So let's imagine it's your next test day. Instead of stress, we're going to train your brain for confidence and control. Close your eyes again. Take a slow breath in and exhale. Imagine it's the morning of the test. You wake up feeling steady and prepared. There's no rush, no panic, just a quiet confidence. You've done the work, and now it's time to show what you know. You arrive at the testing room, and as you sit down, you feel grounded. Your feet are firmly on the floor. Your hands rest easily on your desk. The exam paper or computer screen in front of you, it's there, it's present, ready for you, and you take a deep breath. The timer starts, and instead of feeling overwhelmed, you feel focused and in control. You read the first question, and you immediately know how to begin. The answers come to you with clarity. Your mind is steady, recalling information just as you practice. You move through the test with ease, pacing yourself. If you hit a tough question, you stay calm, using the strategies to work through it. You are thinking clearly, making strong decisions, and trusting yourself. As you reach the final question, you realize something. This test doesn't define you. It's just an opportunity to show what you know. You finish feeling proud, relieved, and accomplished. Take another slow breath in and exhale. Let this feeling sink in. This is your new reality. When test day comes, your brain will recognize this moment and help guide you to success. Okay, when you're ready, open your eyes. So these are two things. These are two visualizations, things that you could practice. The thing about these techniques is that you have to practice them often. You can't wait until sort of test day and then do them. But really, you're training your mind. So let's look at the science behind it, right? Again, the side-by-side comparison, a negative visualization. The brain is preparing for panic. What does a negative visualization look like? Well, it may look like I'm not going to know enough to pass this test. You imagine yourself sitting down, freaking out, not knowing anything, turning in the test incomplete. That's a visualization. But if we can change what we're thinking about, we're preparing our minds for success. In advance, we are reducing the likelihood that we're going to go into that panic. And I thought this was really incredible. Your brain fires the same neurons, whether you're imagining something or actually doing it. That is incredible. I don't know about you, but that to me, that's really incredible. So that means that I don't actually have to do anything, but I can sit and I can think through it, and it's possible this can happen. So this is what athletes do, actually. They think about their game, they think about the plays, they think about scoring, and then they go and do it. So this is something that's key in sports performance is visualization, and we can take that power and access it so that we are performing better on our exams. All right, so we've gone through those. Next steps. All right, so just remember these things. Test anxiety is not your destiny. It's really kind of a learned response, and it's something that we can change. So I'm going to pause here and take a moment to see if anyone has questions about the things that I've just covered. Do you have questions about test anxiety symptoms or the visualization that we tried? I'd be happy to hear them. You can enter them in the chat or unmute yourself to ask. I'll give you a few minutes. Give us a few minutes to do that. Was anything surprising to you that we covered? Mm-hmm. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. And never really saw it as a real thing. Yeah, okay. So if I'm understanding you correctly, just sort of maybe as a tool that's not very helpful, right? Or a tool that can't lead to any outcomes. That's understandable if that's what you mean, right? Because it seems like what are you actually doing? You're just kind of playing around in your mind. But we have some really good science to support the power and effectiveness of visualization. So it's not for everyone, but for some people, I think it can be a really effective tool. Yeah. Okay, cool. I think that sounds great. Yeah. Give it a shot. See how it goes. Um, I mean, I guess what do you have to lose? You could try it. So that sounds great. Thank you, Robert, for sharing. All right, so I'm going to talk to you now about something that I've created that is meant to help people with test anxiety. I'm very excited about it, something that I worked hard on, and something that's going to be available to you, everyone that's come today. So, what if you had a step-by-step way to overcome test anxiety for good? Again, imagine feeling like you are prepared and you're calm and you're in control going into that test. I have something, again, especially for you. So let's talk about it. One thing that I've heard as I've done research and talked to people about conquering their test anxiety, a lot of people fall back to, well, I just needed to review the content more, right? I needed to study more. And that's why I didn't do well on the test. Sometimes people can acknowledge, hey, I'm anxious before tests and I couldn't access the information because I was anxious before and during the test, but they see the solution as just getting more information in. Well, content is essential, but it cannot outweigh a defeated mindset or a mind that is not really ready and prepared for the test, right? We talked about what test anxiety is, how it takes over that frontal cortex. And if you've got all the content in there, but you can't get to it because you're in a panic, what's it all for? So I was inspired to make this program not only from my own experience getting help with test anxiety, but also helping others. I get to help a lot of students on a day-to-day basis with anxiety and a lot of other conditions. But in particular, I worked with a woman who had a hard time passing a particular standardized exam for her field, and she failed it multiple times, 3 times. And so she came to me and say, hey, I want to take this test again. I know that I'm smart. You know, she was accomplished already in her field, but really wanted this piece of paper, this document that sort of validates who she is as a professional. And so I said, okay, yeah, let's give it a try. Let's work through it. And together, we really did all of the techniques that I've put in this program. We tackled what was going on in her mind. We tackled what was going on in her body. We worked through some organizational kinds of things. We took a little bit of a look in the past to see how that was impacting the now. We helped the people around her, her friends and family, prepare for her to take this really big exam. And I am so excited to say that she passed that exam with flying colors. She not only passed with flying colors, she scored pretty highly on this exam. And this is something that she'd been trying to do for a number of years. So I felt like a proud mama, proud friend, whatever you want to say. Um, but, she did the work. I was her guide through the work. She did all the hard work. I was just the guide. So I do have to say that, right? I cannot take all the credit because she did the work. She had the content. I mean, the content really didn't change over those three exams, but what changed was how she was thinking about the test and sort of the mindset approaching the test. She would not call it anxiety, she would call it a test block. And so I think a lot of people identify that as well. So, this is something that you're thinking about so that you can access your dream, so that you can access the thing that you've been trying to achieve for joy, for peace, maybe for a long term income. Again, talking to people, I've spent the last month talking to over 40 people about their anxiety. And, this is holding people up from advancing in their careers. This means that they cannot provide for their families in the way that they want to. So I'm here to help you not let this get in the way. That's the purpose. So let me tell you about the program. I worked really hard on this. This is a self-guided e-course. It's designed to kind of rewire your brain. There are about 4 hours of video, and it's me, so you will see this face the whole time. And accompanying those videos, we have a beautiful workbook that you can fill out as you go along, so you can remember the lessons that you're learning, try them out, practice them, and then you've got that workbook to refer back to whenever you need to. In addition to that content, we will have weekly groups on Tuesdays at 6 Central where you can come, get support, ask questions, say, I covered this, I read this topic, or I watched this lesson. I'm not quite sure what to do. I'm not sure how it applies, and get some help. And I'll show you who's leading that group soon. And so, because this program is new, I'm offering sort of a founder's pricing, a founder's special for the program. We have a limited number of spots available. Listen, I know this stuff works because I've been through it. I've helped people one-on-one, and now I want to really make it accessible to more people in the form of a group or a program. So, what's included in the modules? So, we're going to talk about things that I think are really important. Organization. Maybe you're organized, that's fine. You can skip this module. Maybe you need some help with that, and this is for you. Talking about learning style. I know that there's not one specific learning style for everyone. Maybe you have two, maybe you have three. But that was one of the things that I had to understand about myself in my learning journey to really be able to perform on tests. I am not a person who can sit in a lecture and then absorb all the material. I've got to make it come alive. And so that is something that I learned about my own learning style. Talking about the cause and effects of test anxiety, changing your mind. So the exercise that we did today, visualization, more exercises like that so that we can rework the way our brain thinks. Lots of techniques to relax your body, and those are fantastic examples, videos. And then this is something that's a little bit different. Because I'm a psychiatrist, I have had some additional training in integrative psychiatry. What does that mean? Well, that means all of the stuff outside of medicine, sleep, nutrition, aromatherapy. And so this great module with all of those things. Okay. And then I also included how loved ones can support you. Because what I find is that sometimes our loved ones don't understand exactly what's going on when we have this anxiety. They'll say, "You're smart, so why are you having any problem at all? Like you should be fine on the test." Well, we know that test anxiety is not that simple. If we could just ignore it or will it away, we definitely would, but that's not possible. So I have some information on there that you can share with family members so that they can gain a bit more perspective and be better support to you. So we have interactive exercises. I talked about the workbook that's there, self-assessments to track your progress, and then the workbook you can access. It's digital, but you can also print it out. If you're someone who needs the material, you can print it out, get it bound, whatever it may be, put it in a notebook so that you can physically write on it. Okay, this is Sarah Herman. So she's going to be leading the weekly groups through the end of March, and then I'll be taking over for a bit. But Sarah Herman is fantastic. She's been with my practice for almost 2 years or more now, and she's a therapist and coach, very warm, very encouraging. So she's going to be with you, guiding you through the process so you're not alone. And that's the purpose of having this group. You know, when you have test anxiety, you're not doing your best in school, it can feel really lonely, like you're the only one that's going through this. Well, I wanted to make sure that you felt supported and like there was someone that was there for you. So let's talk about the what's in the program, right? So we're going to have the lessons, which are the self-paced modules, lots of videos, about 4 hours. Again, I made this so that you can get through it. It doesn't take a lot of time. You have the workbook. You're going to have the coaching sessions and a bonus for everyone who's signing up as a founder. I've created these really incredible kits, self-care kits, and I'll show you what's in those, but you'll also get one of those. I'll send it right to your house. I'm getting rave reviews about these kits that it's like self-care. I've heard it's like quiet luxury. I've heard so many great things about it. So let me show you, let me show you what's in that, and then we'll come back to this. So you can see that there's an aromatherapy mist. It's like a focus mist. There's a face mask, a blanket. There are these great sort of meditation cards that you can color. We've included colored pencils. There's an eye mask. I've got some great stickers that you can put on water bottles, laptops, whatever it may be. Things that say like your anxiety is lying to you. There's some other like lotions and things like that. There's a journal that you can use, and it's a something that you can write your thoughts down. There are prompts that can be very helpful, and then there's a 3 month subscription to kind of like a therapy app that's included. So much, so many good things. And I want to go back just a little bit. Let's see here. Um, and so the full price of the program will be $21.97, but now we have a founder's price. Also wanted to highlight that we have installment payments that are possible through Kajabi. So you can break this down if this all at one time is too much. And then I just like to point this out because when I think about making investments for my learning or things like that, I think, okay, what is the long-term outcome going to be? For me, at that point when I was taking step one, if I had a program like this, I could not have progressed through medical school if I did not pass step one. What does that mean for me? Well, if I think about all of the money that, God willing, if I live a long life, that I would make, that was standing between me and making, you can see, the average person who gets a bachelor's will make 2.8 million in their lifetime, and the average person who gets a graduate degree will make 4 million in their lifetime. So when you think about this investment, you think about, okay, well, what is the long-term outcome? And I will say that all these things that are being taught in the course are really helpful for test anxiety, but they can apply to many places in your life, just anxiety in general. So that is it. I would love to answer any questions that you might have right now. And I'm going to drop a link in the chat to the page where you can sign up, learn more, or even just go to learn more. So let me do that now. Um, and I'll open the floor for any questions that you might have in general about test anxiety or the course. So the floor is yours. We'll wait for a few minutes here. All right. Any thoughts, any questions, things that surprised you, things that didn't? Yes. Let's see. Okay, Sylvia, hang on. I see your question there. Let me get to it. Can you talk more about what the group sessions would look like? Absolutely. So, and there's the link there that I just put in the chat. Um, yes, the group sessions will be an opportunity for you. We'll have some things that are prepared just in case no one has anything that they are bringing and having questions about. But it really is going to be an opportunity for you to say, hey, I was working on this, I don't know, cognitive technique and I got stuck. Can you help me through it? Or, I'm just feeling really discouraged because X, Y, or Z. So it's a general kind of support group. We're going to have an affirmation that you'll take away with you every time that you're there. Um, it can be, it's just a time to sort of share and get support. You can say, for me, it would be like, I've taken step one. I'm not sure that I can do this again. And this is what it means. And you're going to be in a community of people who are similarly having a hard time or anxious or nervous about their tests. And you're going to get support from your peers, from Sarah, and then just figuring out how to work through things. Not quite sure. One of the things that we recommend in the organization chapter, if you're a college student, is getting that syllabus, breaking it down into small chunks so that you're ready for test day. And so that you're ready for test day and you know how to organize your time, right? It can be really daunting when you get that syllabus and it's like, okay, I've got to write a 15-page paper at the end of the semester. Here are the books that I'm supposed to read, but how do I get from reading these books to start to writing this 15-page paper if you've never done it before, or 20-page paper, whatever it may be. And you can bring that to the group. You can say, hey, this is the task that I have. Can you help me break it down into bite-sized chunks so that I can organize my time? So it's really just a space just for you to work through the material. And it's a place of accountability, because if you are just trying to work through the curriculum by yourself, it's easy to just like, oh, I'll listen to this later. But to have a group to look forward to in the coming week, you can use it to hold yourself accountable and say like, okay, I want to make sure I get through this number of modules before the group so that I can ask questions, that kind of thing. Sylvia, is that helpful to you? Did that answer your question?
Yes, very helpful. Thank you.
Okay, absolutely. Okay, Juliet, you said for me everything is so self-explanatory. But okay, great. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so check it out. And again, there's a payment plan, so you can split up the payments if you need to. I also want to offer that I have this fantastic book, which the course is based off of. And so if that is out of reach for you right now, which is totally understandable, you can check out the book. It's really got all of those components there. You can find it on Amazon, Bookshop, Barnes and Noble, Lulu, a lot of different places online, and that will be helpful to you as well. Other thoughts, other questions? And I will say we're going to cut out the question and answer for the posting of the recordings. So just know, I hope that will help you feel a bit more free in asking your questions, that we won't repost those because I feel like sometimes they can be personal. Right. Oh, thanks, Rachel. Glad this was really helpful. Okay, well, if there are no other questions, we will end here. I did offer this email address. I'll put it in the chat as well. Test anxiety no more at collegepsychiatrist.com. If you have additional questions, feel free to email us and we'll be happy to answer them for you. I'm so grateful that you took the time out of your Tuesday night to join us. This is something that I love to do. I love to connect with people, to teach people these things. I feel like I have been given a great gift to know this content, to know to have this information as a clinician, as a mental health clinician, and I love to share it. So thanks again. Be sure, if you're not already, to follow us on all social channels. Follow me. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. We're going to be getting our YouTube channel up and running pretty soon, so look out for that. There will be some great stuff there. And I hope to see you guys sometime soon.
Thank you.
Sure. Bye-bye.